Hi viewers, here we are on the eve of International Women's Day, and yes, of course, we have an NRI, an Indian born woman, and she has been in Australia for many years. She is also a serial entrepreneur, and she has been a wife, she's a daughter, she's a mother of two lovely children, and at the same time, coming back to India, this is going to be a highly motivating factor. Brain drain is what we have been seeing all these decades since our independence. But now, a woman coming back to India, keeping a point in mind that let's do a regain of brain and help India, help the startups, helping the business scenario, helping with investments and growing together, especially with a lot of ethics in place. So I am going to present now Ms.Neelima Choudary, how your dream of becoming a businesswoman happened. Let's start from the beginning.
Thank you very much, Anil, for the warm welcome and a vibrant introduction. Really, thank you. So, as Anil has just mentioned, and he had given actually a very brief introduction about me. My journey had begun as a child. I was born in Warangal, and I had finished my education, schooling in Khammam district, in the combined Andhra Pradesh. Then I had come to Hyderabad, where I finished my secondary school, and my graduation was finished in Hyderabad. And then I also did my MA in political science. So that is my fundamental education background. Further to which, as I earlier mentioned, I had also finished PG diploma in early childhood education and followed by various diplomas in computer applications, because in mid-90s the craze was about software and computers. So I finished there, and after that, as usual, I got married, and then we migrated to overseas. Initially, we went to New Zealand, and later on because New Zealand and Australia are sister nations, later on we set up our businesses in Australia as well, and we went there as well. When I migrated to New Zealand, we had started various businesses. Initially, as a first step, I had taken up a job. So when actually you migrate to a new country, I would actually recommend to take up a job which is small or big. Do not worry about it. Whether it falls into your education qualification or experience, do not worry about it. Take up any job that is available. And I had seen so many students coming to overseas and taking up cleaning jobs also. The reason being, you will understand the work culture over there, and also you will also understand the language, the systems, and the mindsets of the people and the overseas culture. So these are the things are very fundamental for anybody who is migrating to overseas. And I would say actually the similar culture also we should develop in India. So we have to develop the dignity of labor, where somebody should not feel whether it is an inferior job or a superior job, whether I'm born for a leader or a businessman or a multimillionaire. We should all take up a job at a grassroots level and grow from there. So that's how I started my journey, and eventually I had purchased various businesses, and I had owned, operated, and later on I had also decided, okay, when I had learned, I spent almost a decade, more than a decade overseas, and I had given birth to two beautiful daughters, and that's when I thought, okay, so the kids were growing up, and I had learned what I had to learn in these countries. Then, as rightfully Mr. Anil had just said, brain drain we have talked about, but we never talked about brain regain. So that's the thing actually caught onto my mind, and reconnecting with our roots, and going back and serving our nation, and bring the experience, knowledge, the technology, and various other things what we have learned over the decades, bring back to our mother nation, and give our mother nation the strength when it is developing at a fastest pace. Let us add our little bit of knowledge and expertise so that it can become a superpower in coming few years. That was the intention behind me coming back to India.
What are your plans, not just for 2021, but also for the one more decade coming down?
So we started our journey, as I said, bringing the technologies, the niche technologies back to India. So we are doing a technology transfer, and the plans what we have is, one is a business side plan, okay, coming from a economic development side, and another one is from a social angle. So let me reflect on economic side. So when we are actually bringing the niche technologies on the technology transfer, country is going to benefit, and we can upskill our youth, okay, and we can also work with the international teams in par with them. So however, India is already, we are progressing and we are on top of the list in various sectors. But there are certain areas where actually I am bringing, and various other NRIs are also bringing, and our own India under bilateral relationships also are negotiating to bring the technologies back. So as a small player in the grand scale of things that we are doing, I would like to actually bring in those technologies and teach the youth, upskill them, and also train them to be part of the global demand. The manufacturing sector, which actually is going to be India is going to be hub for the manufacturing sector coming the days. So there are few things which I see a gap. The gap is being when it comes to quality, when it comes to maintaining timelines. So these are a few gaps I had seen, and which actually in a small unit we want to train and also to give the world the new India where we can actually export as per the requirements and the demand of the world. And coming back to social side, we want to actually upskill the women by empowering them and by giving them livelihood through various other means. There are a number of businesses here who are actually doing extremely well, but they require a platform where actually we can, all these similar mindset people can come together and put the energies and also finances together to actually empower them. One of the area we have chosen is, I'm working with a gynecologist where we want to go to the underprivileged sections of the society and take them through this women hygiene part of it, and also the cervical screening and mammograms, which we would like to actually hold the camps in the areas, in remote areas, in tribal areas, wherever there are underprivileged women and the sections of the society live, teach the youngsters about the hygiene. And also when it comes to the middle-aged women, we want to teach them how actually important it is for going for mammogram and also cervical screening and what it can lead to. Because the numbers are quite alarming when you hear about how many women die of cervical cancer. Because I think 1 in 5 or 6 actually women die cervical cancer because there is no detection. Because early detection is very simple. It is a small testing actually. We can find out, and within minutes we can tell in the camp itself whether the person has any cancer cells in them. So we want to educate the rural women of actually cleanliness and how to maintain the hygiene. And also while maintaining the hygiene, there is actually a way they can actually reduce the chances of getting the cervical cancer as well. So these are the programs we want to hold as an immediate one. But moving forward also, as I'm thinking, and we want to hold some international camps, bring in the women. Since actually I did not mention that I was in politics overseas. I was actually a member of Labour Party of New Zealand when I was in New Zealand. I stood in the elections twice, in the local body elections, and that had given me a lot of exposure about the political systems over there, how they're being run, and I've been trained under Obama administration on how to run a campaign, and I ran many campaigns in the past. And I would love to say that I had also had actually privilege to work with Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and I would really appreciate and the way she's running the country as we see now. She is a very compassionate woman, and she's running the country in a compassionate way. and she's brought in very good results during the COVID time. And not only that, during the Christchurch massacre had happened in one of the mosques, she handled the situation, whole situation, in a more inclusive way, and she wore a hijab. As a prime minister, she can just walk in within her own outfit, whatever actually you generally wear in those countries, but she did not. What she did was she wore a hijab, she went in, and because she is actually understanding the other culture, at the same time respecting the culture, that's how she went, and she embraced the people. She went and hugged them, and no prime minister would do that. She sat with them, she actually gave them the courage, comfort, and also told them actually she is there to give them the safety and security so that they can live peacefully in New Zealand. So those kind of assurances were also given by a prime minister. So I wanted to say I had a privilege to work with her on many policy councils. We sat together, we deliberated on many policies which are good for not only the mainstream New Zealanders, and it is also some of the policies which I recommended was also very prominent for the ethnic migrants, especially Indians.
You had an opportunity to work for Obama's administration, and at the same time the Prime Minister of New Zealand, you had an opportunity to work with her. So that's really an international experience to help our local politicians. And you, how about thinking of coming to Indian politics?
First of all, I really thank you actually for considering me and asking me this question. But I'm an overseas citizen, and I would love actually a day actually where I denounce my citizenship and come here permanently. A day would come, and maybe I would want to join politics, not because I want to be elected representative. I want to serve the people. So politics is one vehicle, as you rightfully said, but there are a number of vehicles which we could achieve the same things through as well. However, I would like to work with some politicians and bring in that knowledge and share that knowledge for the grassroots democracy, how to actually improve the grassroots democracy. I would love to be part of that team. In future, maybe I'll consider.
Who is Neelima Choudary? A mother, foodie, and at the same time, what she loves to do in her free time?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, and I'm a workaholic, I should say. I love working 24/7. However, actually, I enjoy working out, maintaining a fit, having a healthy mind, a healthy body is very important. So I haven't mentioned one of the experience I had overseas. I taught voluntary yoga for New Zealand rugby team, and I also taught a few classes to the jail inmates in New Zealand, Auckland, and I also taught voluntary yoga for the high school lecturers. So yoga is my passion, and I like to keep actually myself fit, and obviously you don't want to look your age, so in order to do that, working out is one way to go. So that's how I keep my free time occupied with working out. And at the same time, I love not reading a book, but I love listening to the books. And during my free time, I do that. Obviously, a little bit of social media also I do. A little, not as much as the youngsters do, but a little I do. And I try to keep myself updated with a lot of information, what is happening across the world, and making sure that my knowledge is up to date.
We would like to know that who is your inspiration?
So I would say, a very nice question actually. So I would say my first inspiration is my mother. I learned my values, my character, and the motherly love from my mother. She taught me that how to be compassionate towards not only yourself, your family members, your immediate family members, to the society at large without any discrimination, and also to the mother nature, whether it is animals or plants, and be considerate. She taught me those values. So I still carry those. That made a huge difference in my life. And as I grew as a child in Khammam district, I went to a school. That school was called Vivekananda School. There actually I've been taught what Vivekananda's preachings were. Then he became actually my role model. And when after my schooling, when we came to Hyderabad for my future studies, and I used to go to Ramakrishna Missionary and pick up the books of Vivekananda and read. and how he had actually given us actually the vision of Hinduism. Hinduism is not a religion, but it is a way of life. So which I learned there. Then after that, I had got married, and a few of them became actually my role models. And a fundamental thing in life which I learned from Mahatma Gandhi's preachings also, where there are so many people around you, but you do good, you listen good, you practice good. So these are the fundamental, and non-violence. So violence and non-violence, he might have said it in a British fight against the British, but anything, a small thing at home also, it can be a violent between a child and a mother, or with a servant, or with anybody, with your neighbor or workplace. Just be non-violent, and you be nice, you think nice, and you practice good things. And that's one of the major preachings of Mahatma Gandhi I had taken, and he's my role model. Then when I migrated, I had watched Helen Clark, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, very closely. She had dedicated her life, entire life, for the nation, and she's married, do not have kids. She said the whole country and the world is my kids. And later she retired as a Prime Minister. She became the head of the UNDP. There also she embraced and worked for the causes of the deprived countries, especially in Africa. She became the UNDP head, and she had millennium goals. So the goals, giving actually water, sanitation, food for the poorer countries, she had worked. So she became my role model, and I had learned a lot from her. And I used to watch her very carefully, what she's doing and what kind of intention she had to become the Prime Minister. And once she left politics, she went on to serve the world. So she became the role model. Then when I came, and obviously while actually I'm working at the international space, at the same time I have few role models from my mother nation. One is being Narendra Modi ji. And today I have come back to India because of his policies, what he is doing to our nation. And these policies I had seen the day he became the Prime Minister of India, and even before. He's the true nationalistic policies he has brought in, which made a huge difference, not only internally within India, but at the same time internationally as well. And we became proud of our identity. And India is not actually about Hindu religion or one particular religion. It is a way of life. And he had actually given a strong message to the world leaders and to the world community that the Hindu religion is a compassionate religion, and we have all the answers in the Bhagavad Gita. And he given actually a scientific reasoning for the day-to-day things that we do. So generally the impression that Anil is, okay, Indians, they wear sari, okay, they put bindi, they do yoga maybe. So in between there was a gap. There was always a scientific reasoning was there behind everything we did. Even Corona also has taught us the tea we drink, okay, the food we eat, whether we put in turmeric, ginger, garlic, even onions, which thins the blood. So there was always actually a underlying good, this thing was there, but that was lost in between. And Narendra Modi ji had started very nicely to teach and to educate the world about us, about our culture, who we are as a nation. So that had made me actually to think, okay, when I come back to my India to get the brain regain, so that's when I thought, okay, I've been actually blessed with a government and with a Prime Minister who is going to help us to bring and contribute to our nation and facilitate us with right policies. So that was one of the reasons for me to come back and be here and to serve this nation.
Very importantly, coming back to India as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as an NRI, so what was the kind of support from the government of India, and at the same time setting up a company specific to Telangana state? What was the kind of support were you able to get?
When I came over here, my intention, as I already mentioned, was to bring in the technology and get the technology be used for the development of the nation. So these are niche technologies. So When I came over here, I had to incorporate a company, and under that umbrella, we had to actually do the business. So to incorporate a company, it was not a difficult thing. We did it through a chartered accountant. There was not actually huge hurdles in there. Obviously, having a PAN number was a little bit of a hurdle I found. I think that could be easily actually sorted when somebody is coming from overseas, when you do not have identification of the local of the nation.
Authorities.
So it becomes slightly difficult and it takes time, I noticed. And there are some documentations also which are very difficult to get, which has been asked by company incorporation or agency. So there was a bit of a difficulty I found to actually get the identification over here, since we do not have identification locally. We had to go to the embassy, get the concerned documentation apostilled, and all that was little difficult. But however, these are small things. We made a few trips to Delhi and we came back, and companies were incorporated. And wherever we went, we had to deal with the various government agencies in the process when we are actually showing the technology, demonstrating the technology. We had done many trial runs, free trials to demonstrate the technology. It was very warmly received, I would say. And people talk about red tape, corruption over here. But when I came to Telangana, I have not seen a little corruption also. Obviously, there are some delays had happened. That is beyond somebody's capacity, or one officer you cannot blame, or it is due to various reasons. However, but what I would like to say is it was especially a few bureaucrats had been really helpful in actually facilitating and encouraging us to do business in India, especially in Telangana. And I had actually pleasure of working with Jayesh Ranjan. Whether I worked within his portfolio or not, I had been introduced through business entrepreneurs. I would call him and ask him, I don't know how to do this, and this is what would happen. And even though it is not his portfolio, he would guide. Similarly, various IPS officers had helped me. Various IAS officers, especially Jayesh Ranjan, was very, very helpful. And also during the COVID time, my other business, as you had seen my business card, I was executive director for Lazuline Biotech. In the process, we needed during the COVID time some licenses, retail licenses with the drug control in Telangana. And the Office of Drug Control and the gentleman who's sitting up there is also very helpful. There was not even once I felt there was any red tape, there was any paper shuffling, nothing of that nature. Things were very straightforward, and they would help us, and they would expedite the things given the situation, and would give us the permissions for us to get back to work and help the societies. So in a nutshell, I think it is easy to do business in India. Obviously, there are a few areas which we still need to work on, but individually, I never found actually any problem working over here.
In fact, that makes us very proud being in Telangana state. And of course, our state has also been rated as number one in ease of doing business at the same time, apart from the minimum minute kind of delays, maybe because of some uncontrolled reasons. So we would like to know the kind of technologies and at the same time the kind of initiatives you wanted to start. Do you have any other plans of unveiling this technology to our viewers?
Thank you very much. It was a very nice question. As I said earlier, I started my journey 4 or 5 years ago with niche technologies, where we had actually brought in a special technology for laying roads. That is a nanotechnology. The product is polyacrylate, which is actually nanotechnology, comes in actually 2 kgs containers. It's a dry powder form. So you can lay a kilometer road with 4 or 5 kgs of that product. So that was the technology which we brought in, and now we are trying to get the approval from Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana, where kilometers of roads can be laid with a small amount of this material, and you don't need any external material to be mixed. Whatever the mud that you have on the roads currently, and whatever the stones that you have, it can be mixed with that, and then road can be laid. So that technology we brought in, and we had demonstrated in one of the coal mines in Khammam district, and that was received very well. So now actually I'm also working as actually my contribution to the Telangana or India was I'm laying actually a road in Sangareddy. There is a village called Ganguluru. That particular village is being adopted by the income tax department, and they are actually empowering the locals from Sangareddy, from that particular village. So I happen to know one of the commissioners, and they have approached me, asked me to actually lay a road. So I had actually given my contribution, and voluntarily I said that it's free of cost. I was going to actually lay a road. So due to COVID, that actual project has not taken place, but we are estimating to complete sometime this year. So that is one technology which we brought in, and there is another suppression technology in open cast mines. What happens is when you go into a coal mine or any mines, there is a lot of dust that comes up, and the mining staff, what they do is they use the water carts to suppress the dust, and throughout the day they use the water carts and their water carts, and they actually spray the water so that the dust doesn't emit and it doesn't go into the lungs, and also it doesn't create actually visionary problem for the driver. So there is a lot of expenses being incurred. So we have a product actually which is mixed in the water, and you do it first in the morning and at night. That's it, and the dust doesn't emit. So we have demonstrated that technology successfully in the SCCL, and currently we are supplying to the Singareni collieries. So that is the second technology. And the third one which we have brought in also is Aqua Boost. This is again for agriculture farmland. The water is actually a scarce resource. So water is not in abundance. Even it is available in abundance also, still actually it has to be saved, because we are dependent on environment, right? In the seasons actually nowadays, because of global warming, we are not having the actually rains as actually we anticipate. So water is always a scarce resource. So this particular product, what it does is it is again mixed in the water, and whether you have a drip irrigation or any type of irrigation that you have, it is actually normal water it goes, but the water does not evaporate when this our product Aqua Boost is mixed in there. So it will actually make a thin layer on the soil, so and the water doesn't evaporate. The consumption of water actually reduces by 70-80%, and the yield also increases by 20 to 30%. And because the water, when it doesn't evaporate, the nutrients of the soil is protected. So, and then it gives actually the roots the strength to actually give the better yield. So all these three technologies which I discussed now, all are actually environmentally friendly and biodegradable products. So there is no chemicals in these products at all. So these are the three. In addition to these three, we are also bringing one more. It is actually different from what I said, to another area that is onto the health side and the medical side. This technology is going to be very useful for medical college students. So generally it is wet labs you use a cadaver, which is a dead body actually used, and you conduct your experiments on that. This technology replaces complete wet labs into a dry lab. So you must have heard about this mannequins, plastic mannequins, which has no bleeding, the pathology is different, everything is different. Whereas our technology is same as actually you are conducting on a dead body. So the bleeding is same, it feels the same, and it is actually synthetically 3D designed product, actually body parts we are manufacturing. This is the technology which we are going to be launching either this year or by next year in India, and it is going to change the entire teaching curriculum in the medical field. And also Indian Medical Council recently has actually changed the rules around how to teach the medical students. So they made a small change from actually replacing from wet labs to dry labs and using the skilled way of teaching the students. So this is hand in hand, given the timing is being perfect for us. Okay. And also there is one more technology actually which we are bringing is when you go into agriculture farmland again, that is there are so many weeds you get, and these days the happening thing is organic. Right. So when you go into the farmland, you see there's so many weeds, and in order to kill the weeds, what you do is you spray, and hundreds of liters of pesticide or insecticides that we go on spraying. So rather, we have a product that is going to actually change how you kill the weeds. It is actually giving an injection to the weed, and rather than using actually liters of product and randomly spraying across the agriculture farmland, you just go and actually you just prick. Then the weed will die, and with the micro amount of insecticide goes in there and it kills the weed. So that actually product is being brought into our country. So we are going to put the manufacturing unit over here, because weed is actually a very big problem. Weeds in the sense it can actually kill the plant, it can take the strength of the plant, and it can weaken. So it's a huge problem. So what we are doing is we are bringing that technology here. It's an international problem. The manufacturing unit is going to be set up in India, Telangana, and especially in the surrounding districts of Hyderabad.
Wow.
For the world export. Whatever the money we make out of this, a percentage will always go to the women causes, and we have decided that we are going to contribute a percentage of every company that we have would be actually contributed for the causes of women within India, especially in rural India.
These technologies, I don't think can be owned by everybody else. Are they need to be patented?
Some have been patented, and some are these three technologies which are patented. First, when I talked about Aqua Boost, Polycom, and Dust Check, they've been patented. But the weed one is also been patented. It's not a global patent, but they have been a territorial patent. And the other technology which I talked about on the medical side is also been patented. But however, we are going to be manufacturing here on under license transfer, and for the global demand also. As actually now India is the happening place on the world map, and also while actually there is a shift is happening from China to India, so the world is looking at India for various other reasons. So only one thing which we have to be careful of is the quality we need to maintain. I think we are there already. It was not like decades ago how we were being given an impression. Now everybody understood, under the good leadership and right policies and good environmental policies, we are not only taking care of the salaries and the wages, that we are giving the right wages, employing the right people, and upskilling, and also we are also taking care of the good pollution control methods that we have, environment as well. So this way we are not only actually adhering to the importers' requirements, we are also adhering to the United Nations environmental policy as well.
Something really going to be beneficial to the society is what initiatives are have already been tested and done at a couple of places at some of the districts, and yet big things are yet to come out. So we are going to witness all that in a phased manner. So I'm sure Ms.Neelima Choudary would be giving us more and more insights and more interviews in the future.
Thank you so much actually for giving me the opportunity actually to give this interview on International Women's Day, and you have given another woman an opportunity to not only speak and talk my mind and showcase actually what I am doing. And thank you very much, Anil, and I wish all the viewers happy International Women's Day, and I would love to work with you all in the coming days. Thank you very much.